My name's Mike Belanger. I'm a product manager at Itron. Been working very closely with the team at Cisco on our partnership to bring an full IP, secure, scalable communications network to the smart grid marketplace. One of the things that we find is that our utility customers that Itron's had years and years of experience with have a lot of requirements for customization. And I wanted to share a little bit of that and some examples of that we've already run into with one of our lead customers for the connected grid router, and show the value add and the synergies between Cisco and Itron and how we bring this solution to the marketplace. So I think you all have heard about the Cisco and Itron alliance, bringing the smart grid next generation communications network to the marketplace, and a lot of the strengths of both Cisco and Itron applying into this space. So our solution approach, so we've got all of the endpoint devices, the network and the infrastructure, the technology, and the benefits to the utility. And one of those benefits that Itron brings is understanding the utilities business for years and years of metering. Our AMI systems have been deployed. We've got 7 million meters out in the field today that are running, and we have been working with all of our utilities to make sure that when they order a device, it comes configured and tested and ready to be deployed on a pole. And that's really what I'm going to cover in the next one. So one of the things that we do is, from an ordering point of view, is if you imagine one of these connected grid routers, there are 4 slots that can be configured with different communications modules. Each of those communications modules might have different options. There are a variety of different input-outputs that can be applied to this device. You can have tethered devices, you can provide external power, and we provide the ability to work with the customer at the order process to get that configuration defined. One of the things that we do is they'll have a cellular modem as one of the most popular backhaul mechanisms. We have to get SIM cards shipped in. They have to be configured properly and validated as being on the network before they leave our factory, so that when they go on the pole, they never have to come down again. So this is an overview of the order process. So Itron will work with the customer. We will define that configuration both from a hardware, a firmware, and custom settings. We will create a unique part number. So every device that we ship to a customer will have a unique part number that's specific to that customer. We will drive orders into Cisco, and we will provide them with the customer configuration, and they will build the device with the hardware configuration. They will test that hardware to make sure that that hardware is fully functional. Then that device comes back into Itron in our facility in South Carolina, where we put on the customer-specific software, firmware. We make sure that all the ports are configured properly. We get the cellular WAN, if that's one of their backhaul options, we get that operational, and then we do a final validation before we ship the device. So here are, some of the examples of some of that customization that we do. So software and firmware versions. So as utilities go through different upgrades, and all of these devices can be software upgraded over the network, different utilities will be at different software releases. They have to time those software releases to different points in their deployment. We make sure that if we're getting a router for customer A, that it's got customer A's firmware and software revisions. Customer B may be different. So all of that customization is happening in our facility. The other thing is, from a hardware point of view, there are a lot of different settings within these devices that are utility specific. One of them is the utility ID. This is a unique identifier for the RF system to make sure that if we've got 2 utilities that have overlapping coverage or border coverage, that devices are not going to try and get on somebody else's network. So there's a unique utility ID that has to be loaded. The SIM card I mentioned for carrier, each one of these have to have, each of the utilities will set up an APN with that carrier, or several carriers quite often, and we have to get those SIM cards and or that customs configuration into this device so that it can get onto the network when it's powered up. Optional features such as Wi-Fi access. There's a Wi-Fi radio built into the CGR, the connected grid router. Some utilities will want that on. Some of them will want that on with certain credentials for how their field staff will get access to it, whether they want it just for access or whether they want it to actually be a hotspot where their folks can go out there and get access back to the corporate network. All of those security settings and everything have to be set up. Custom labeling. another big thing is that, whether it be for inventory control or, just automating their field and their asset management, each of the utilities may want their own serial number in addition to the unique serial numbers that we provide and any custom labeling that we do. And Itron has been doing this for meters and network devices for years. Custom power cables. This is an example for our customer, BC Hydro in Vancouver. They're going to be one of the first customers to get these connected grid routers. They wanted to have a DC power feed that comes out of the box so that they can tether a WiMAX CPE device for their private network. And we're going to get those cables in, and each of the CGRs that come through our facility will then have that cable put in place and routed so that they don't have to have a special route to do that when the devices show up. They can come right into their cable.
Power supply within
yeah, the CGR provides external DC power. We bring it out to a connectorized version.
They said that you could make that different amounts too. They said you could up to 3 bricks in there. Yeah, for the battery backup, you've got 4 amp hour bricks, and you can stack those for different times. Supply an external device like that.
Well, we're bringing that DC feed out so that it can power an external CPE device for WiMAX. And do it, it's a custom connection that's only going to be specific to that utility, so it's not a standardization thing. This is one of the customizations. And then custom port configurations. If you've seen one of the connected grid routers, you'll see that it's got a lot of different ports. It's got many antenna ports, 8 different antenna ports. It's got a number of different ports for bringing Ethernet and different things out of it. Each of the customers are going to have different uses for those, and so these devices have to be configured for that. Those are things that we do within our facility in South Carolina. So the final step, of course, is validation. So when we get the SIM card in for the cellular backhaul, or if we're putting this DC power feed, any of these customizations that we do, firmware configuration, security configurations, we need to validate that, including doing a functional validating. So each of these devices, before they leave, we verify that they can get onto a cellular network, because you can't put it up on a pole and then find out that, there was something wrong with the SIM card configuration, it can't get on the network. So that's one of the things that we do. And then, doing, the validation of the firmware, where we look and we say, okay, this is what the customer ordered, is all of that firmware exactly what they wanted so that these devices